Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The French Dispatch, and this is the new Wes Anderson film, which I'm a huge fan of Wes Anderson, so I was very excited to see this film after all of this time, and this film focuses on a particular newspaper and the death of its editor and founder, played by Bill Murray, and the film basically follows a visual representation of the articles that make up the last edition of this paper after the death of Bill Murray's character. And you have narration from the writers of each of the parts. And this film really focuses on the wonder, the love, and the process of journalism. And you have the main journalist, you have Owen Wilson, who rides his bike around this city where the French Dispatch is made out of, and he's showing like the seedy underbelly of the city and like the really specific, like, this is how things really are. And there's some fun gags and like a roving band of you have a bunch of kids who help out at the Catholic church, like the altar boys who have drank the sacrament or like going around like beating up people and stuff like that. You have Tilda Swinton, who's telling her story of her recounting of this amazing artist played by Benicio del Toro and the work that he did in prison, along with Lea Seydoux' prison guard character. You have Frances McDormand and following along Timothée Chalamet and his whole entire like band of young rebels and trying to shake things up in life. And then you have Jeffrey Wright, who tells this really crazy story. What started off with interviewing a very specific chef, and then this chef's role in trying to help his boss's son's kidnapping come to resolution. And this film has all these different parts to it, and then together them trying to figure out the obituary for Bill Murray, and you have each of these segments and each of them have their own charm. And this film really features Wes Anderson doing some of his most amazing craft. The use of color versus black and white is very striking and interesting, different aspect ratios. There's a whole entire crazy car chase scene in complete animation, which is so much fun and crazy and just so inventive. And that's what this film really is I don't think since Life Aquatic, and then to a big extent Grand Budapest, has Wes Anderson really gone this far into trying out so many different things in terms of style. And I think it really helps elevate the story because, you know, this is more of like an anthology. And parts of them are definitely more interesting than others. This incredible cast, everybody is so fantastic. I think for me personally, the biggest standout was Jeffrey Wright, and his segment was definitely my favorite, which also featured the likes of Stephen Park, if I'm not mistaken, who plays the chef, and Matthew Almric, and you also have Edward Norton and Saoirse Ronan, and there's some really strong performances throughout this film, and they do all kinds of different things in terms of how they're presenting the different characters and their stories. And, you know, it doesn't always feel like it comes fully together as a whole, but I do think it's fascinating, this idea of looking at this last newspaper and seeing all of the writers and their process and how they made connections with Bill Murray and how it inspired them, but seeing how they each crafted their final article as a part of this. And it's really personal and interesting, and all the actors are having a blast. All of them are so interesting. There's definitely so many actors in this film that a lot of them feel like they're kind of wasted, like Willem Dafoe and Christoph Waltz have such small parts that it's just like, kind of feel like they just showed up for a paycheck or just to hang out with Wes Anderson and everybody. But I feel like this film is, and Alexandre Desplat's music is just wonderful, as always. And this film is full of style. It's such a great experiment in terms of how to portray a journalistic piece, but in live action and moving and in motion. And being able to string that all together and having some kind of cohesion. Wes Anderson really tried to outdo himself this time, and I don't think this is his strongest film. I don't think it always feels like it really comes together, and like I mentioned, there's a lot of characters that feel completely wasted. But I feel like from a technical standpoint and from a thematic standpoint, this is really firing on all cylinders. And as a Wes Anderson fan, I just ate up all of the Wes Anderson-iness about this film, and I really appreciated it so much. And I really hope people go check it out when it starts winding up a little bit around. But those are my thoughts on The French Dispatch. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.